chats and sessions for the Sigma Business Network as part of the Big and Better Business program of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. My name is Quentin Goodwin, and I am your International Director of Big and Better Business for Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity. And it is a pleasure to bring the series of trainings, discussions to you to assist in enhancing and building your business. The first of our series is focused on marketing and branding your business or nonprofit. We're fortunate to have Brother Kevin Davis to present this valuable information to you. Brother Davis is a member and actually president of the Iota Nu Sigma chapter in Chicago, Illinois. He is a faculty member of the Sigma Leadership Academy. He is working at the University of Illinois at Chicago as a design and marketing associate, and is also the owner of Kevin Davis Design and Brand. Before we begin with the presentation, I did want to inform you of a few upcoming seminars that will be sponsored by the Small Business Administration. The first is actually tomorrow at 12 o'clock p.m. It is a webinar entitled How to Market Your Startup. Kaufman's Founders School and the Small Business Administration will be on and discussing creative ways millennial entrepreneurs can market their startup. On October 14th, which is a Wednesday, from 2 o'clock to 3 p.m., they will have a special session for small businesses on what you need to know about the switch to chip card technology. As you know, a lot of businesses are navigating now to receive transactions through chip cards rather than the traditional of cards. That is to enhance security measures in their business transactions. So they want all small businesses to be prepared as possible during this transition. Those information of those workshops, as well as additional ones, are located at the Small Business Administration's website, www.spaba.gov. Another exciting workshop, series of workshops sponsored by the Small Business Administration, what you need to know about exporting to Cuba. We all know that a lot of sanctions have been lifted with Cuba, so that poses a great opportunity for businesses to get in a better position to gain an advantage in that market. So they have a series of trainings via conference call for you to learn more about exporting and doing business in Cuba. The first call is scheduled for October the 13th. There will be one on November the 10th, and the next is December the 8th. The number and the passcode is on the screen, but if you need further information, please let me know, and I will get that information to you. Finally, wanted to remind everyone of the Sigma Business Network. If you are not a member of the Business Network, please register your business. The Sigma Business Network has been in operation for about 2 years. We have registered about 145 Sigma-owned businesses from a wide range of industries. And we want to get these businesses to network with each other, also showcase these businesses to our networks, especially to the brothers of Phi Beta Sigma, as well as other areas of the business community. So we would like for you to be a part of this, to register your business, please go on www.sigmabusiness.org, fill out the business submission form, and it will come to the team, and they will create your profile. So if you have any questions, please let me know, and I will lead you to the right resources to get your business registered. Okay, with those announcements out of the way, we will begin this session, and I will introduce Brother Kevin Davis.
Okay.
And we are ready to go. Brother Davis, the floor is yours, sir.
All right. Thank you, Brother Goodwin. I'm just waiting 1 second here as the presentation loads up on the screen. But I wanted to say that I definitely appreciate this opportunity to talk to the brothers about marketing and branding. Those who know me know this is something that I can talk about all day long. And I'm grateful to have the opportunity to speak about this with my brothers, as many of us have small businesses, and we're great at what we do, but we just don't know how to properly market and brand, and we may be leaving all sorts of opportunities and come on the table. So today we're just going to jump right into it. For those who are following along, I want to make sure that you have my contact information ahead of time, just in case there is something that you want to ask offline, because we will not be able to get to everything in detail tonight. So if you have a question or something like that, my contact information is right here, and you also will have the opportunity to ask questions via this webinar to our Brother Goodwin. He will let us know who has questions, and we'll try to answer those questions by the end of the presentation. And as you see, everything is all the same. Kevin Davis brand. So that's the first introduction to branding there. I'm not going to go back into who I am. He did a great job explaining who I am. So we're just going to go right into some companies that are excellent at marketing and branding. First up, a company that I'm definitely a fan of is Apple. When you think of Apple, three things come to mind. You think it's a luxury good, it's expensive, and there's an ecosystem. And the bonus is that when you ask users, it just works. People are definitely loyal to the brand for their own reasons, but over time, they've been consistent. Everything looks great, and it's an excellent example of branding. Next up is Nike. Nike, you think of just do it. You think of performance. You think of cutting edge. Everyone wants to wear the swoosh. It is that powerful. As a symbol alone, you don't even need the name. But that took time to get to that point. You think about Samsung. Samsung makes great phones. They're the next big thing. You think of all sorts of new features, and also they have a phone for everyone, whether it's entry level into the market, mid-level, or the most expensive phones in the market. And they also do other types of electronics. And as I learned at the conference a couple weeks ago, they do custom countertops. So it's definitely a broad brand, but they're very consistent with their marketing and branding. You look at Mercedes-Benz. Mercedes-Benz, that TriStar. You see that, you think of indulgence, sophistication, and luxury. And lastly here, you have Phi Beta Sigma. Three things come to mind when I see that. I think of service. I automatically think of 1914, and then I think of our visual brand. And when I think of our visual brand, it's because of the great job that we did during our centennial year to raise those standards. And so when you're looking at those companies like Apple, Nike, Samsung, Mercedes-Benz, and Phi Beta Sigma, those companies and organizations, all we see is the end result. No one ever sees the hard work that it took to get it to that point. It's almost like looking at an iceberg. You just see the tip. You don't know what's going on under the surface. But today, I'm going to give you a very, very general overview of what marketing and branding looks like and the time and commitment it takes to get your company and your organization or even your chapter. Some of these principles are applicable to chapters as well. To get them to that level of a Nike, to a Mercedes-Benz, it's not impossible, but it definitely takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of thinking, a lot of planning, and a lot of execution. And I'm coming to you today not as someone who's read a bunch of books. I've had several businesses. I've experienced failure several times, and I've been doing this for the past 10 years. And so I learned from my own trials and errors, and then also as a business owner now, helping clients. And what I'm finding is everyone's great with their business, but they don't know how to properly set it up. They don't know how to market. They don't know how to brand. They just know they want to start selling their product or their service and get on Facebook. But we're going to break it down a little bit more today. Like I said, we're not going to be able to get into everything in detail because there is so much. But what this conversation will do today is it will begin further conversations, and it also start to get you thinking a little bit deeper about your brand. So we're going to get into what is branding. Your branding is your name, your logo, your product, your service, and your reputation. It's also your employees, your members, or members of the organization, social media, website reviews that people leave. When you think of branding, when you hear branding, most people just think of the logo. There's so much more to a brand, and we're going to get into that in just a second. But the basic premise of what branding is, it is what people say about you based on what you put out there. So as we go back a couple slides, you saw there was your name, your logo, your products or services, your reviews, the people that are on your team or people in your organization. That is what develops your brand. It's not just your logo. Part of the conversation that I have when I first take on a client or I'm talking to somebody at work, or if it's for an event or anything, is no one is looking for it. And why that is important is we get so excited. You know, I'm a rapper, so I want to hurry up and get this mixtape out here, or you know, I'm a videographer, I want to hurry up and start pushing videos. No one is looking for your business. So why not stop, take time to complete your due diligence, do your research, and find out what all it takes to make this business successful. So that when you actually launch your business, it's launched properly, your branding is together, and there's less time spent on this piece of your business. The idea is to get your branding and things like your business formation and your branding set up ahead of time before you start your business. When you start your business, once you go live, you should be focusing strictly on your business. Unless you are a marketing and design person, this should not be the bulk of your business. You want to be out there making mixtapes or recording videos and things like that. So you want to make sure that you take the time before you go live to do what you need to do to make sure that business is a success. It's almost like going to a store. Someone says, hey, we're opening up a brand new store. Or you go to a new website, hey, check us out. And there's nothing there. Are you going to go back? Probably not. So yeah, keep that in mind when it's time to start your business. So before you get into the actual meat and potatoes of your brand, there's a couple things that you need to understand. Like I said before, your logo is not just your brand is not just your logo. It's not just T-shirts or your product. But as a small business owner, you now become the face of that organization at all times. You have to acknowledge that there's an intersection of your personal and professional life. We've seen this several times with the number of celebrities. They've done some things, and it definitely negatively affected them. So you keep that in mind. There's no longer just you by yourself. You're always representing your brand. Just as men of Sigma, we've heard it several times again, you're always wearing your letters. When you walk outside, you're no longer Kevin, you're Kevin the Sigma, or you're Kevin the Sigma from whatever chapter. So now you become this face of your business as you're walking around. You can no longer just say what you want to say. And why is that? Because the mic is always hot. If we have anyone on this conversation that was a communications major or works in that field, TV and film, they'll tell you that the mic is always hot. Like I said, it's gotten some celebrities in trouble before. If you look at Donald Sterling, you look at Tiger Woods, Paula Deen, all of these different celebrities, their personal lives intersected with their professional lives and their brands because someone's always listening, and you never know who's trying to take you down. That's just the reality of it. Someone may not like you. You may be a hater, as people say. But you want to make sure that you're always representing your business. You're always representing yourself because someone's always watching. So now you're not just Kevin the Sigma. Now you're Kevin, the owner of this particular business. And I mentioned on the previous slide the situation with some of those celebrities. When you look at some of the fallout that happened, and many endorsements and partnerships were pulled because of what happened to those business owners. But then you also look up and see who stepped up to the plate. Sometimes the alliances that you keep aren't the best, and they may hurt your brand. Something that I had to learn the hard way was, I mean, all clients aren't good clients, and it's okay to say no. I would take on clients just because I wanted the money and I was eager to do it, but you see the signs up front sometimes that everybody's not your client. They either want to hook up or they're giving you unrealistic expectations on deliverables. And what can you do now? You've already taken a business, so now you're either sleeping, you're up super late, you're not sleeping because you're trying to get this order done or trying to get this design done or something like that, or they knock the prices down to where it's no longer worth it. They're going to be your worst customers. Anybody will tell you that. Those who want the most hookups and deals are usually your worst customers. But it's okay to say no. One thing that I also learned was that if you take your prices and someone says, you know what, hey Kevin, how much do you charge for this? And I say, that's $200. And I tell them, they ask me for a discount, I can never raise my prices on them again. I can never bring them back up to $200 after I just allowed them my services for $100. They're just going to go somewhere else. So now I've cheated myself, and I'm no longer going to get that long-term income out of it. Sometimes it works, but majority of the time it does not work. This one here hits pretty close to home when you look at the fraternity, and you have to think of it with your business as well. That everyone on the team is in the marketing department. Everyone is the face of the organization. Everyone's opinions are the opinions of the organization. That's not fair, but that's just how it works. And so you have to start keeping in mind, letting everyone know on the team what their roles are. Let them know that they are important, that you need them. They're an important voice and face of the organization because they are the marketing department. So you want to make sure everybody's together. You make sure everybody's happy as much as possible, because it would be unfortunate to lose business or relationships over someone on the team not conducting themselves properly. So I always want to make sure you have the right people on your team. It can't always be your best friends. It can't always be family. Sometimes you can just give them a T-shirt and tell them support, but they don't need to be involved in the central operation of your business. And with that said, I feel like this is something that needs to be explained a little bit in detail, and that's the First Amendment. Because as you start marketing your business, and once you have this business up and running, and you may have your Facebook profile or Twitter, and you still may want to conduct yourself as an individual, which is fair, but now you have a separate audience looking at you now. Everybody's looking at you, scrutiny. You never know how successful your business is going to be. So you can no longer do and say what you want to because of things like the First Amendment. People will drop that in a minute once they get in trouble. What about the First Amendment? The First Amendment is just a bunch of words that says that there can't be a law telling you what you can and cannot say. That's really what it is. But when you really look at it, it doesn't protect you from social repercussions, loss of funding, loss of clients, or backlash. So you definitely can say whatever you want to say to whoever you want to say it, unless you're threatening someone's life, but it may cost you on the back end. You want to keep that in mind. You have to tailor your messaging on social media or even your advertising. So now we're going to get into the business. Before we start, you have to figure out, who are you targeting? If you are not solving a problem, then you need to ask yourself, why are you in business? It can't be just because you like baking cakes. It should be a little bit deeper than that. Are you making a certain type of cake? Are you providing a certain turnaround time on cakes? Are you offering a special type of delivery or special designs? You have to be solving a problem, and that comes into who are you targeting. You have to figure out why you target them. So it goes back to that: what problem are you solving? Are you catering to the 24 to 44 crowd, and why? Is it something about your product that speaks specifically to that demographic, or is that just because that's your age? So you have to kind of think about it. Where are your customers? If you are a online business, we'll get into it a little bit later down the line, but if you're an online business, you need to figure out where your customers are coming from. But initially, you need a target area. I would ideally start around your home area. That way you can kind of cherry pick some of your clients and kind of build up your exposure from there. And then what are you telling them? So what do you tell them about your business? What is your narrative? What is your story? So you have to figure out all of these things before you really start to get into the marketing and branding of your organization. And as you see, we're several slides in, and we haven't hit the sexy part of the deal yet. We're still a good ways away from that. So from going into consulting and helping out some of my clients, what I find is they haven't set up their businesses properly. And by that, they come to me, they have an idea, and we go through a meeting, and I ask them, well, what type of business is set up, and do you have your bank account set up, and are you an official entity in the city or state? And they say no. And that can be a problem. You definitely want to make sure that you set your business up properly. The next few slides that we're going to go over, they're going to be very, very basic overviews of the different types of business entities, but I would suggest you please do your research and find out what's the best way to register your business. You don't want to do everything as an individual. You open yourselves up to all types of liability, and you are limited as well. Some clients don't want to work with you if they're just writing a check to Kevin Davis. They want to know that they're writing a check to a company somewhere that's established, that has been formed, in a state or a county or something like that. So we're going to go over a couple different types of business entities: sole proprietorship, S corporation, C corporation, and limited liability corporation. Like I said, you got to figure out which one of these works best for you. But 9 times out of 10, it's going to either be sole proprietorship or LLC for the average small business. But again, that's something that you want to go over with your business partners, or you may want to seek some counsel on the best formation for your business. Sole proprietorship, that means you. That's one person, typically known as a DBA, doing business as, or an assumed name. So right now, my business is a sole proprietorship here in Illinois, so it's just me, mainly because the costs are super high. So those are things you have to take into consideration as well. What's the best for your business? Which type of entity formation? Sole proprietorship is owners wanting minimal formalities, maximum flexibility, and not worried about personal liability. Next up is the S corporation. Owners wanting liability protection of a corporation with the simplicity of pass-through taxation income. C corporation, owners needing maximum tax and ownership flexibility combined with liability protection. And LLC, or limited liability corporation, owners wanting liability protection of a corporation with less corporate formalities and the simplicity of pass-through taxation of income. So that's super wordy. Obviously, we're not going to be able to get into that on this call now, but you should make sure that you register your business officially somewhere and go back through these entity types and figure out what is the best for your organization. Next up, you want to make sure you set up an accounting system. You want to make sure you have a way to track your expenses, your income, your invoices, your orders, and things like that. There are a number of free options. There's a company that I use called Wave, waveapps.com. They have a free invoicing and bookkeeping system that feeds right into, you can export it out to TurboTax or whatever tax software that you use. And it's super simple. So I can create invoices right on the fly. I can respond, I can take payments, everything all through one system. There's also QuickBooks and a number of other different types of software. But again, you want to make sure you find something that fits your business needs the most. And also something that can import your business banking account information. The big one here, and I see a lot of people get in trouble with this one, is because they have not adequately researched their tax situation. So you get all this money coming in, and it seems like it's tax-free. But at the end of the year, Uncle Sam's going to send you, depending on what type of business you are, it may send you a 1099 if you're a freelancer or something like that, or you start to get some forms, meaning somebody stated that they paid you, and you need to be able to account for your income and your taxes. And then also with your business, there are a number of different tax deductions for, say, certain amount of space in your apartment or your home that you use for business, mileage, dinners and entertainment that are related to the business function, computers, phone bills. There's a number of things that help you offset your income, but the only way to do that is if you have a proper accounting system and you've already looked up what the best setup is for your taxes. Again, I can't tell you what's the best way to set that up. That's something that you have to figure out. I would suggest getting an accountant or someone that you trust that has been in business kind of help you go in the right direction, but you definitely want to begin your business on the right track. Nothing hurts more than having a great successful year and then you finally do your taxes and then now you owe $15,000, $20,000. It happens a lot. It happens very often because we see it as tax-free income, but we got to start handling our business as professionals and a professional business entities as well. So we're almost getting there. So you want to make sure that ahead of time you're developing your contracts and agreements. Again, this is more of that work that you want to get out of the way as early as possible because once you go live and launch your business, you want to spend more time focusing on the business, or if you're forming a nonprofit, you want to focus on fundraising or providing whatever solution it is that you're set up for. But you want to make sure that you have your contracts together. If you're going to have independent contractors working with you, you need to make sure you have that contract figured out. If you're working with different vendors, you want to make sure you have different rates locked in. You want to make sure you have all of these things taken care of. Again, it pains me when, it's something that I learned on my own. Someone gives you a call and you've been in operation for a while and you haven't properly sat down and figured out what your costs are or what you're going to charge for your service, and they say, well, shoot me a quote, and I have to stop and go. I have to go generate an invoice, figure out what an agreement looks like, and by then they've already gone to someone else. So again, no one is looking for your business. So you want to make sure that you take time to do these things ahead of time. It'll save you so much more time down the line, and you'll spend so much more time focusing on money and providing the services that you set out for. So the big one here, this is the big component of marketing and branding. It's your intellectual property. We're going to go over a couple of different types of intellectual property, and I'll try to give you as much detail as I can on these. But again, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an intellectual property lawyer, and with everything else, it's best to seek professional counsel on what the best way to file for your protection for intellectual property is. First up is copyrights. Copyrights protects the work of authorship, such as writings, music, works of art that have been tangibly expressed. So if you wanted to register your copyright, it's $35 through the federal government, and that's per work. So if you designed a T-shirt and say, I want to copyright that design because that is a work of art, and you have 5 more that are just like it but slightly different, you can lump those all into a collection and send them all in under that same fee. Or if you're a photographer, you want to make sure you copyright your work. You automatically have creative ownership of it, but it helps to have it federally registered. If you need to go to court, I believe the average copyright suit amount is somewhere like $70,000 or $80,000 or something like that. So you definitely want to make sure that you have your works copyright protected. But I'm saying if you're a photographer and you take photos all year, send them a DVD of all of your photos from that year and make sure that you get that copyright protection for your work. With that copyright protection, it's going to last the life of you. So as long as you're on Earth, plus 70 years. So that's a huge, huge, huge amount of time for protection. Something that comes to mind is Walt Disney. A few years ago, I believe it was 70 years or so since his death, or I think they just changed it. It may have been shorter. And so Mickey Mouse and the whole Disney family was almost going to be public domain, which meant it became almost as generic as the word escalator or Kleenex or vacuum. But I don't know what they did. I think they switched it to a trademark, and it prevented the Disney properties from going into public domain. So next, okay, this is the symbol here for the copyrights. If you see this, this means someone is claiming creative ownership of that copyright ownership of that particular work of art or music or whatever it may be. Next up is the trademark. 9 times out of 10, this is what you're going to be filing for your business. Trademark is a word, phrase, symbol, and/or symbol that identifies and distinguishes the source of goods of one party from those of others. So this one is if you look, you can look up online. If you look up the United States Patent and Trademark Office website, and you look up Phi Beta Sigma, it will show you all of the trademarks that the fraternity owns, which would be the name, Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. You will see that our shield has trademark protection. The drawing of the shield has trademark protection. You'll see that our Centennial seal has trademark protection. So all of those different identifiers for your business, those are going to be your trademark. And if you look at a company like McDonald's, like the Big Mac, that's part of their company, but that won't be under a service mark. So it's kind of interchangeable, but they both fall under the trademark law. So with this one, trademark protection is as low as $10 per class, and that varies by state. And by class, I mean classification. So if I decided to go in business, I'd have to register as a classification as advertising. If I wanted to sell T-shirts, then I'd have to add apparel on there. If I wanted to be a construction company, I have to add construction on there. So all of these different classifications you have to pay for. So whereas you're in states such as here in Illinois, to get a state trademark, it's as little as $10 per class. However, on the federal level, you're looking at $225 per classification, and that gives you federal protection in all 50 states. And so looking at those classifications, if you look at Phi Beta Sigma, I'm not sure how many different classifications we have, but we have to pay $220 for each one of those classifications. So if you think about this, this is why you can have a company called McDonald's in the real estate space, fast food space, and then have McDonald's in auto repair. Those are two totally different classifications. If the McDonald's and the auto repair shop tried to come over into the fast food space, they would not grant them a trademark because it would cause reasonable confusion in the marketplace. So that's how they divide it up. See, because otherwise there will be very few business names. Everything will be some weird letters because we had to get what was next or what was available. But I strongly encourage every business, once you set up your business entity, to trademark your name, and if you have a logo, you need to trademark that logo as well. You don't have automatic protection for that logo, but please do it. It's a small investment. $225, you're looking at $450 for federal protection. This is huge because when you're looking at trying to do business in different states, somebody else can take your name. And if you didn't have that protection, there's really nothing you can do about it. You may win, but you probably couldn't afford the legal costs for that. Oh, and trademarks last for 10 years, and it has to be renewed. So when you see companies, so prime example, if you're a big Michael Jordan fan, just recently he sued a company, a grocery store here, and won a judgment of $9.8 million. And so people called him petty and said, oh, he doesn't need all of that money. And so I'm sitting back and I'm reading this, and I'm like, this is not about the money. This guy's brand has a value, and based on his recent transactions, he won't talk to you unless it's at least $10 million on the table. And so this company decided to run an advertisement in a local newspaper for $2 off some steaks. And I used, I believe it was one of his likenesses. It may have been some shoes or a Jumpman or something like that, and he sued him. And the reason why he sued him, because that was his intellectual property. You can't use my likeness or my business to benefit yourself without talking to me, and we strike up an agreement. But also, you have to defend your brand. You have to defend your trademark. If he had not defended his trademark in this particular situation, and someone else did the same thing, more than likely, they may have dropped his trademark over time. That's not likely for Jordan, but it would happen. If you don't defend your trademarks, you can lose them because they'll fall into a general category up like public domain. Like I mentioned before, like Escalator, that used to be a brand, or Jacuzzi, or Kleenex and things like that. Those things fell into public domain over time. And so next up, you have two different symbols for the trademark. The R with the circle on it means that they've been registered on either a federal or state level. The TM, some companies use it and they may be registered, but mostly companies that have not registered for federal protection, they will put that out there to let you know that this is an official identifier for their business or product. So there's no confusion that Arm & Hammer is the name of our business, because with the trademark owner, this is the mark of our craft. This is our company. Often we hear people, we start talking about trademarks and they'll say, oh man, you got to patent that. And that's incorrect terminology. Patent is a limited duration property right relating to an invention. So it has to be strictly an invention. It cannot be a thought. It cannot be an idea. It has to be an invention. You have to submit, drawings and a purpose behind it. And it takes years and years and years. And it also is pretty expensive because you have to have a lawyer to help you research and make sure that there's not another company out there that's going to use that patent. If you are familiar with the mobile phone market, Apple and Samsung are blocking out a company from China called Xiaomi. And if you look at their company, their products, they look just like Apple and Samsung products. And so in other countries, they're able to sell these goods because their patent and trademark laws are not as developed as here in the United States. But Apple and Samsung are spending tons and tons of money to keep this other company out because they are undercutting everybody. They have nice phones, but you can't take replicate someone's technology and their look and try to bring it over here. That's not going to work. So it's a good company to look up. It's a pretty interesting case study. So now we're getting into the meat and potatoes. As you see, there's so much work to do before you even get into the visual branding. And again, it's like that iceberg. Everybody only sees the logo. They only see the T-shirts. They only see the taglines. But no one saw all of that work that you just did. So now we're getting to the home stretch. We're looking at the visual branding. This is the part that everyone sees. And so if you're thinking now, it's starting to make sense. Everything that we've talked about thus far is already creating the foundation of your company or your organization. And so now it's time to put, if you're familiar with construction, it's time to put some drywall up. We already got the studs on the foundation. Time to put drywall up, put the carpet together, carpet on the ground, and all of that good stuff. So first up, before you start contacting graphic designers, please make sure you do a little research, figure out what the average costs are for logos or whatever you may need. Just because it'll help you once you talk to them. That's my first question when you come to me is when you're looking for branding. My first question is, what's your budget? If you tell me you don't know, that can be a good thing or a bad thing. If you're a company and you got deep pockets, that's great, because I can tell you whatever, but that's not the way I do business. But if you have an idea, I expect to spend this much money based on what I've been seeing and to get this amount of service. So it helps you narrow it down. You want to make sure you develop an aesthetic, and what that means is if you look at, I'm trying to think of a brand. Let's go back to Mercedes. If you look at Mercedes, all their advertisements are super glossy, nice photo, but then there's a big white section of the page, and on that section of the page is where they put all of their wording and their copy with their logo, and it's a specific font. It's a certain amount of words. That's their aesthetic. They go bold picture, simple black and white text. So you want to figure out, what do you want to look like? Do you want to have a company that's that's kind of glossy like a Samsung? Do you want to have something that's super luxurious like Tiffany? Start figuring out, what do you want your company to look like? And once you figure it out, once you've worked with your designer, you want to make sure, or once you've found a designer to work with, you want to make sure that you get vector art. And vector art is super important. These are the files that you get when we're done with your logo that you can submit to a commercial printer or to another designer if you have a different type project. A lot of times a client has me design something and I'm like, I need your logo. or I need the imagery, and they'll send me a JPEG or a bitmap file or a PDF or tell me to go get it offline, and I can't do anything with it, especially if I'm designing something that's 20 feet long and 10 feet high. I can't scale that up. So your vector art is your professional, scalable artwork. And if your designer can't give you vector art, I strongly encourage you to not work with that designer. That is not a professional. But vector art will save you so much time, and when it comes to reproduction and scaling up and scaling down for clarity. When working with the designers, please, 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 make sure you communicate effectively. You want to avoid subjective terms such as cleaner, fresh, or slick. Those mean different things to different people. You put 5 designers in a room, and you tell us to design something, and if you tell us to edit something and make it cleaner, we're going to come up with 5 different looks. We have no idea what that means to you. But if you say, make it cleaner like this, and you provide an example, now that person has a visual frame of reference of what you're looking for. So just try to be as specific and detailed as possible, and support what you're saying with some type of visual. So now that you got your logo, you have your business cards and all that good stuff. You want to make sure you have an electronic media kit. Basically, what this is your business in a snapshot. When someone asks you, hey, can you tell me about your business, or if you're a professional speaker or a singer or musician or whatever, you want to have all of your information quickly and really accessible. So it gives you an organizational profile. An organizational profile is your kind of like your boilerplate or your sample outline paragraph. If you look at the bottom of a press release, it'll say Phi Beta Sigma was founded January 9th, 1914, Howard University, blah, 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 Brotherly Scholarship and Service. It's basically what your business is in a snapshot and maybe about a paragraph. Typically, it's not more than that, but it gives people enough detail to where they know what your organization is by reading that organizational profile. And it also helps if you're a nonprofit or a company that has a number of employees. It ensures that everyone on your team is saying the same thing. So if someone asks you about Sigma, everybody can tell them the same thing, because we, for the most part, should have all learned the same thing out of the same books. And so you want to make sure you control the conversation and say the same thing. You don't want anybody freestyling or remixing what your company's about, because it may be incorrect and it may do a disservice to your company. You want to make sure you have bios of the owners or the leaders of the organization. 200 words, that's really all you need. If you can't sum it up into 200 words, I don't know what to tell you. You're very wordy. A lot can be said in 200 words, and people they're not trying to learn about you as an individual. They want to know who you are as it relates to the company and maybe some of your accomplishments to qualify you for this business or this company or this organization you're starting. And also, you want to make sure that you have professional headshots. I can't stress this one enough. I go on LinkedIn and somebody hits me up for some business, or they want some referrals, and I go to their page and they have a selfie in their car, and that's their professional picture. I'm on there to conduct business, and I know how serious I take it. So in my assumption, I could be wrong, is you may not value it the same way, and you may be the best business person ever, but all I know is what you put out there. That goes back to the whole branding piece. It's what people's perception of you based on what you put out there. So as long as you have a smartphone and a white wall, you can have a professional headshot. All you do is just crop the picture, and there you go. So you gotta make sure you have something like that in there. If you've been in business for a little bit and you've been highlighted in different newspapers or websites or on the news or whatever, you want to make sure you put those mentions in there. As featured on NBC Today, and maybe put a screenshot of that website or press release that had you in there. What you're trying to do is assert yourself as the subject matter expert or thought leader in whatever field that you're in. You want to showboat a little bit. You say, I'm built for this. You want to make sure you mention your services. What is it that you do exactly? Spell it out simple, set the expectation. the mission of your organization, and testimonials. So never feel bad about asking, hey, did you like that design? Did you like that meal that I prepared, or we catered for you? And if they say, hey, you know what, actually, can I use that as a testimony on my website or on my media kit? I highly doubt they're going to tell you no. But you want to make sure that you get other people talking about your business and get those testimonials there. Skip those first two. Actually, the last one. The last one here is contact info. How do people get in contact with you? If your sister says, hey, I got a guy that's interested in booking your company for this and that, you'll make sure you want to have your contact information in there. You just spend all this time compiling everything. Why not make sure they have the best way to get in contact with you? So I've included a visual of one. She has a website, Geraldine Thomas. She has her headshot. She puts down her stats. We'll kind of get into that a little bit later on. Her stats for her website, how engaged she is on social media. At the bottom, she has as seen on. It gives you her contact information. That's super simple. It doesn't have to be more than a page or two when you really think about it. Here's another one here. This one has a longer bio, but it also gives a little bit more about what this guy does. But again, it's 2 pages. It's super simple. So we've done all of that. You got your logo, we got your media kit. You have all of these things together. And so now it's time to put together your visual Bible. This is the rule and guide of your business as it relates to what people see. When your team members are designing things and they want to be a good sport and start designing something for you, they know what colors to use. This guide it's very specific. It tells you what colors, if you're mixing, if you're on a website and you're building a website, it knows exactly what color for that. Your logo, your types, your do's and don'ts. What are the best ways to showcase your logo, and what ways you should not list. That part is very important. Not everyone is a designer, and so that's what this book is for. This guide, is to make sure that there's a baseline for everyone in the organization to know what the colors are, what the fonts are, what the logo variations are, and what they should and should not do. What those are, just in case as the owner you aren't there, or you may hire a designer to do something for you, and now you can slide him or her this sheet or this booklet, depending on how extensive it is. I want this design, but here are our guidelines. Just like in Sigma, we have guidelines. We know what color blue we should use, things like that. So it's not just a Wild Wild West type situation. Inside this visual branding guide, you want to show examples of approved stationery. These are the main points of contact for your organization. So you want to make sure everyone in the team knows what they should look like. So on the slide here, this is for ENEX 100, whatever this company is. But they provided examples of what their business cards, their stationery, and their letterhead looks like. So this is how everyone on the team knows what it should look like. If they're reordering, they know what the specs are. Like I said, you want to remove all the guesswork, because not everyone on the team is a graphic designer. And we want to make sure there is a baseline, so everybody's not freestyle or remixing. This one here is from the University of Washington, and I put this one here because it had a few different variations of their logo on the left-hand side, but on the right-hand side, it's telling you exactly what not to do. I've seen this in our own fraternity. People throw all kinds of shadows and change the colors and slant it and things like that, but they're telling you these are not acceptable ways to represent this brand or this university. So again, it's taking the guesswork out of what you can and cannot do. It goes back to Henry Ford's theory of can't versus don't. You don't want to tell people don't do it. You want to show them what they can't do. It makes it a lot simpler. It takes all the guesswork and thinking out of it. Again, this is an example of the color palette. This is University of Chicago, and it's very specific. They have Pantone, which is a universal color code across the world. So in my logo, it's Pantone 1665C. So no matter where I'm in the world, if I look up Pantone 1665C, it's going to give me that orange, and that's the case here. Their burgundy is Pantone 202, and if you're doing design work, you have your CMYK colors there, and if you're on the website, it gives you all those different color codes. Again, taking that guesswork out of the branding. This here is actually one that I did for a client. It's super simple. She has a small business, and she's going to have her daughter working with their consulting company out of state, and she wanted to make sure that because her daughter is not in the same state, her daughter's going to do most of the social media and kind of marketing pieces, that she knew exactly what she could and cannot do. So we just have some simple variations of the logo. They have 4 different versions of the logo: black one, green one, gray one, and a white one. Very specific colors or shades of gray and green. It tells you the fonts, and then also at the bottom here, that's showing you the buffer zone. So if you place this logo somewhere, it's telling you that the next closest item on that page should not be closer than the width of a letter C. So that's their standard. They don't want anything inside of that space. So again, this guide doesn't have to be super complex. I mean, my job, I think the document is maybe 60 pages, which you need for an institution like that. But for your small business, a one-sheeter, everybody knows what's what. All the information that they need is right here at their fingertips. So something that I was at a marketing workshop conference about 2 weeks ago, and the highlight of it was marketing to millennials. And while that topic was specific to the millennials, I'm finding it more and more with just the average everyday consumer, and that's social entrepreneurship. So you have a business, but the next question is, are you aligning with a cause or a specific organization? And what's the feel-good aspect of the business? So no longer are the days of just picking a company and say, you know, I like their shoes and they do good things. Now people are digging a little bit deeper. They want a connection. So if you look at companies like Warby Parker, which specializes in glasses, and I think for each pair of glasses that they sell, they donate a pair of glasses to someone in a developing country. That's the same thing with Toms. Toms make those nice kung fu looking slippers, but the social component of that is they provide shoes for individuals in developing countries as well. So people are looking for that commitment back to some kind of community, not just making money and making money for your shareholders. They want to make sure that you're doing something with the community or somewhere around the world. And it was a study that was part of the deciding factor on if millennials did business with a particular company or not, was their commitment to a community or cause. So you may want to look at aligning yourself. If you are providing tutoring, if you're an educator, you're looking at partnering with some sort of community organization to provide educational opportunities in the community. So I always try to find that way to not only make money, but give back. The last point on the social entrepreneurship piece is people support human brands. So you want to make sure you have a face to your brand. So it's not just the logo and your products, but who is your brand? Every brand has a tone, but often you don't see that in social media. The best way to do it is through that social entrepreneurship piece by aligning with different community groups or grassroots organizations or nonpartisan political efforts and things like that. Attach your business to something rooted in a community that supports you. They will support you in return. One of the most vital things now, especially in this social media generation, is the rise of the brand ambassador. If you go on Instagram, you'd be hard pressed to find a post that does not name drop a label or brand or something like that. And people are making money doing this. That's something my kids, they're trying to get noticed by whatever companies they like. They tag them like crazy, and as people are getting sponsored that way. And marketing one-on-one in 2015 is people rely more on the referrals of their friends and their peers than they do from advertising and traditional marketing. So you want to make sure that you're targeting some key influencers. Somebody that's high profile or has a trusted opinion. You want to make sure you align with them. If they're already supporting your brand, make sure that you're telling their story. They love it. They'll repost it every time. You got a fan for life once you do that. If you're on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or something, you want to make sure that you repost their content. If they are posting pictures of your brand or service, make sure you're reposting it because it empowers them. People like to see themselves and being recognized on a big stage. It'll go a long way. And so you want to encourage the end user content. So start contests. Find ways to engage with your clientele. Have them submit photos, and if you're a T-shirt maker, make sure this is hashtag Friday. Drop a picture on Facebook or Instagram in your Kevin Davis T-shirt, hashtag KD's Tees or something like that, and you'd be surprised. People just want to be seen. They want to be seen as an influencer. They want to be that brand ambassador. So make sure that you're picking out the right people for it and make it work to your advantage. So we're going to jump into web presence and online. Very basic thing now. For a while, I was thinking that websites were dead because everyone was spending so much time on social media. But then there was one website, and they posted something, and they said, we're moving our content to our own website. And they said that they did not like that all their content was on a particular website, and should that website go out of business, their entire existence is gone. Or should their account be blocked or banned or spammed, their entire existence was gone. And so it got me to thinking there needs to be more of a push back to websites. Not everyone can access Facebook. Not everyone wants to be on Facebook or any of the social media outlets. But on your own website, you can have a website for as little as $100 a year through like Squarespace or WordPress or something like that. But you got to make sure you get your domain. That's something you want to have early in the process. Once you decide the name and you get everything registered, try to find a domain that matches and get the hosting. I think it's GoDaddy. I think they charge like $7 or $8 a month to host a website. So even if you're not a web designer, there are different ways to build a website through content management systems like Drupal or WordPress, Squarespace, or even like the premium versions of Wix, even though I'm not a big fan. I understand everybody's not ready to go all in, but you got to remember, it may be worth the investment because this is the official face and home of your brand. So you want to make sure that you set up professional email addresses. While, kdstees@gmail.com is pretty straightforward, it's not as professional as it could be. It should be something like customer service or info@kdstees.com. You want to make sure you have a professional image on all accounts. It makes you look like a legitimate business. And that goes back to what I said earlier about people not wanting to write checks to individuals. It's kind of like that now. You send me an email, I'm like, oh, Gmail. It's petty, but that's just how it works. That's what people think. They want to see that professional image on all fronts. You can do this whole thing through Google. Google has, it's called Google Apps for Business, and you can have an email address and cloud space and all of that for as little as like $5 a month. And it's easy to manage and set up, even if you aren't a super techie person. And once you set up your website, things you take for granted. You got this nice design, and no one can find out how to contact you. Do we have to go to the bottom? Are we clicking on 3 different tabs? Make that as easy as possible for people to find. And also make purchasing easy. I was reading something online a couple weeks ago. There was a guy who said that he was on the site and he was trying to order something, and he could not find where to purchase it. Where's the buy now button? he was pretty upset because he's like, I'm trying to give you my money. I want to give you my money, and I have no idea where to send it. He ended up going somewhere else because it was too complicated to find out how to pay for that particular item. So to make sure you make purchasing as easy as possible. And then also be transparent with the goods and services. List all of them thoroughly. You want to make sure you set that expectation. A quote of mine is black and white beats gray every time. So you want to make sure that you have everything in black and white and that nothing can be assumed. So you open up that room for assumption, you can lose a client, you can lose money. There's so many things, but you spell it out in detail. My t-shirts are 100% cotton. They are pre-shrunk, blah, 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 blah. List everything. Be as transparent as possible with those goods and services. And then also, with this web presence is you want to make sure that you're signed up for some sort of cloud service, such as Dropbox or Google Drive or something like that. You want to make sure that you have your files where they can be accessible from any point, basically at the speed of doing business. If someone wants an agreement from you, and it may be something that you don't keep on your website, and you're out, you get that email, you log in right into the app, send that file right to that person. Or if somebody wants a photo of something, you have it readily available. And it also serves as backup, as you can sync with your computer. So if your computer dies, everything on your computer is not lost. You have your backup in the cloud. So that's huge. As someone who's had a couple hard drives crash, I definitely can attest to the value of an online cloud, such as like a Dropbox or Google Drive. They have free ones, and I think I pay like $2 a month for like 100 gigs or something crazy for Google Drive. So definitely beef up that cloud presence. So the piece that everyone jumps to normally, so they start a business, they got a name and they get some logo, they go on social media. What I want to stress is you don't have to be on every network. Just make sure you commit to where you have an interest. So if you're not interested in Facebook, but you spend more time on Twitter, spend more time on Twitter. We'll go into that a little bit later on, but you just want to make sure you are where your clients are. The second point here, don't just post a post. You want to make sure that you're intentional. So if you're posting something, you want to make sure that there's a reason. Are you showcasing something that's happening? Are you showcasing something that's coming up? Are you asking for support? Are you selling a new shirt, or are you asking for money? Be intentional. Just don't post just for the heck of it, because it may seem like you're doing something, but nobody's going to read it. And if you do too much of it over time, no one's going to pay attention to your post anyway. So you want to make sure there's some sort of call to action. Even if it's something as passive as Throwback Thursday or something like that, you throw an old picture up on social media, at least tie it together with some sort of catchy message on why this is relevant today and why you're posting it. But you want to be intentional. Always have some sort of call to action or purpose in what you're posting. And so right now, it's always changing, but the big five right now are Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Snapchat, and Twitter. So you want to find out what channels are best for you. I'm big on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. I'm not on Snapchat. I have Twitter, but I just use it because everybody else is there, and I can send my messages out that way, mostly for personal. But for Facebook, people never log off. So you might as well try to find a way to be there if you have an interest on being there, because it will come out in your messaging that this is not where you are, where you're familiar. Instagram used to be strictly photos, but it's mostly visual. If you are a very visual fan base, that's a great place to be for your business. And LinkedIn, if you're a freelancer, or if you are a consultant, where you're doing a lot of business to business, or if you are looking for different vendors or resource providers, that's a great place to be, because it shows who you are, shows who you're connected to, shows your background, all that good stuff. So in essence, it qualifies you before people reach out to you. And Snapchat, I can't really tell you a whole lot about that, but I know the kids love it because you post things and the messages disappear over time. And Twitter, I mostly use it for news, but it's 140 characters at a time. It's still popular. I thought it was going to die, but it has not. So there's definitely some value there. And with all of these social media channels, I know you're wondering, how do I have time to do this? What's the best way to manage all these different channels? And the best way is simply you have to sit down and plan things out. So if you're on Facebook and you're on Twitter and LinkedIn, and you sit down on Sunday and you want to plan out your posts for the week, you should be posting just randomly every day. You want to figure out what your posts are. So if you have a flash sale Friday, in this column right here is what's called a content calendar. So it maps out basically all of your content for the week. So you sit down on Sunday, you develop all of your posts on Sunday, and you type in this calendar what's going to be posted, when it's going to be posted, what is it going to say, who's going to be posting. So basically you sit down and plan out your week. I don't know if you guys are like me, but I sit down on Sunday and I figure out what are my objectives for the week each day, like what one thing that I want to hit each day. It's the same thing because there's no way you can manage your personal life if you have a job and if you're starting this business and you have a family and you're active in a fraternity. How can you manage all these different channels? And most of that is done through a content calendar. So just make sure that you plan out what you're going to post. And to go a step further, once you plan them out, use a service like Hootsuite. Hootsuite allows you to read all of your different social media channels at one time. And it also gives you the option to schedule your posts. And as of recently, they just provided support for Instagram. Instagram did not allow any third-party applications to post. But now you can set up all of your Instagram posts, your Facebook posts, your Twitter posts, all these things right here. So you can sit and schedule them all day. But one thing that I want to stress is you want to make sure that you're not sending the same message through all these different channels. Each one of these channels has a specific tone. If you're posting on Twitter, it has to make sense in 140 characters or less. If you're posting on Facebook, you may want to add a picture or something like that to make sure that it's getting as much visibility as possible. If it's on Instagram, you can have a longer message, but you want to make sure that's as visual as possible. So while you can do all these at one time, you shouldn't just select all and send the same message. It's like if you have children, you can't tell them all the same thing. You have to say it one way for this kid, say it this way, but in the end you're saying the same thing, just a different way that fits for the proper channel. And again, Hootsuite, they have a free option, and they also have a pro option that gives you a few more options and gives you some analytics, which we'll go over in a little bit for that. But there's others out there, but this is the one that I'm familiar with. Next up, email. Yeah, for a while, it seemed like email was dead, but now I'm not sure if you're like me, but I actually enjoy getting emails now. Social media has just kind of clouded the messaging bubble. There's this kind of overload there, and then text messages and all of these different things. But the email is not going anywhere. You see these nice emails we get from headquarters and from different companies. They all use companies similar to MailChimp or Constant Contact or something like that. But I put this one up here, which is MailChimp.com. This is a free service. So if your email list is less than 2,000, and again, you're a new business, so you don't have a whole lot of money for marketing, free 99. You can't beat that. This one you can schedule your posts, your emails, and it'll also feed to your social media as well. This one gives you analytics, so you can see who actually opened the email, how long are people reading the email, what areas are reading the email the most, which geographic areas are reading the most. We actually use this one in my chapter, so we schedule our emails out to the chapter ahead of time. If we have an event coming up, we'll set it up, send an email 7 days from now, then 3 days, and then 1 day. So you don't have to sit there and keep remembering when you're going to post. But again, this feeds right back into this content calendar right at the bottom. It says email newsletter, so you want to make sure you have that. One piece that I forgot to mention is that through all of this, the biggest lesson of all is that you cannot do this all by yourself. Some of these things you're going to have to delegate. So that's where that content counter comes in handy. You can have an intern or someone in the family or a partner. You can have them sit down and do the social media piece, but you've already planned it out. Because if you spend all of this time doing these things, you have no time to run your business. You want to find what you can delegate what you can, but you cannot do it by yourself. Something's going to suffer on the back end. So we're hitting the final stretch here. So we've done all of this marketing and branding. We've done emails. We've done Facebook. We've developed our marketing, our visual brand guide. So the most important part is the assessment and analytics. So if you're posting on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, whatever channel you decide to post on, what posts garner the highest engagement? Which one's got the most number of hits? Which one got the most likes and things like that matters? What was the best time? Is it your posts work better when you post them on Saturday at 10 o'clock in the morning? Or is it on Monday at 10 o'clock because everybody's at work and they've already talked to everyone for the past hour and got their coffee, so now at 10 o'clock they're sitting at the computer. So you have to remember to think like yourself and figure out when are the best times to post, but using your analytics takes out that guesswork. It will tell you the best times to post. And also with the email, that gives you analytics as well on when's the best time to post and which type of content is actually getting the most engagement. And also you want to figure out where your traffic's coming from. Are they coming from different websites? Are they coming from social media? Is it coming from an email campaign? Because now you want to figure out, okay, if all of our traffic or the bulk of our traffic is coming from the email campaigns, then that maybe you can look at, that maybe means you can focus a little bit more on email, making providing better content there, or figure out why your social media engagement isn't as high as it is. So instead of just shooting from the hip on either side, you can kind of make concerted effort on to which way you want to focus your attention. Also, how long are people on your site? That's a big one. Are they just coming and clicking and leaving? That could be a number of things. Ask your friends to go to your site. What did they think? Was it engaging? Did it capture their attention? If you're selling something and people aren't spending time on your site, why is that? Is it that you don't have clear descriptions of the product? Is it because it was categorized incorrectly? They can't find the buy button? Could it be the product is horrible? Those are different things you want to start looking at. Also, the search words. I'll show you a company provider that can kind of give you some of these insights. But what search words are bringing traffic to your site? Because it may not be Katie's t-shirts. It could be screen printing, and it may be bringing traffic to my website. And if I decide to do a little bit of search word advertising, now I know. Let's put a little bit of money into screen printing. So people that type in screen printing, I want to set a budget of $20 a day and get all this traffic. So you want to figure out where people are coming from. And also, you want to survey your clients and ask them where they and ask for feedback. Be it just as simple as asking them, what did you think? People are, especially people like me, I'm very honest because I understand what it's like to own a business, and feedback is crucial because as a business owner, you originally started your business because of something. There was something you were lacking, that was either lacking or wasn't as good for you as a consumer, so you started your business solving a problem. But somewhere along the lines, we forget that we were once consumers, and we get so engulfed in being a business owner that we forget to think like consumers. And sometimes we just have to stop and ask, what do you think? Should we be doing something differently? Should we offer more? Are our prices too high? Our shipping terms, are they too long? Ask those types of questions, but you have to ask. One of the free analytics is Google Analytics. You can plug that in to your website and social media and your email campaigns. There are others. But again, I'm only speaking on the ones that I'm familiar with, and usually the free options because they work pretty well. But Google would give you, man, Google gives you so many different metrics as far as geographic location. It'll break it down from which country to which state, which county, which city people are checking you out, how long they're on your site, which page on your website people are leaving, which page people come to the most. It gives you search terms. It tells you if people are looking at this on their mobile devices, because that may be an area you may want to beef up. Is your mobile presence, or is your website responsive for mobile? Because as you see, if you have a number of people coming to your site on mobile devices, you want to make sure that it's responsive for them. So analytics gives you so many things. And again, this is a free resource from Google. Hootsuite, I mentioned a little bit earlier. Hootsuite definitely gives you some, with a pro account, I think it's like $5 or $7 a month or something like that. But it gives you very, very specific metrics and analytics on your social media. So if you're looking at measuring engagement, traffic, you name it, it'll generate a weekly report and send it to you. And actually, Google Analytics will do that as well. But Hootsuite will give you that specifically for your social media. So like I said, it's not that expensive. And if you're going to be on social media, and you might as well invest a couple bucks into something that helps you manage it more effectively. And again, for that assessment analytics piece, SurveyMonkey. SurveyMonkey has free options, and just send a short questionnaire out to your clients or your customers or supporters, just asking for that honest feedback. Can't hurt. It may hurt your feelings, but it builds character, and it'll definitely make your business a little bit stronger. So again, hopefully, we've gone over a lot today, a whole lot. But I hope that everyone on the call realized that there is a whole lot more to branding than just your logo and your T-shirts or colors and things like that. It's really the business formation. All of these things come together, and with consistency becomes your brand. It won't happen overnight. Just Do It didn't happen overnight. Apple Think Different didn't happen overnight. Samsung, the next big thing, did not happen overnight. These things take time. They grow, things change, but at the core, the vision and the central brand stays the same. So with that, just be dope, represent your brand well, and if we have any questions, entertain them. Or if you have some questions that are a little bit deeper that we can't answer today, again, my contact information is here. Any brother will tell you I can talk about this stuff all day long. Because it's something I'm passionate about, and I want to see the Sigma Business Network grow as we look to each other as resources. So I'll turn it back over to Brother Goodwin.
Okay. Thank you, Brother Davis, for this great information. And like you said, it was a lot of information, but we're just thankful for you sharing your expertise in the area of marketing and branding. I don't see any questions that were posed. Okay, here's a couple. Let me go ahead and. Okay, here's one. If you are a nonprofit, are there discounted copyright trademark fees, or are they at least tax deductible?
There are not any discounted fees. Again, you're dealing with the government, so they definitely don't have any discounts. But that is considered a business expense, so you are able to write that off, write that against your income that you received for the year.
Okay. Great. All right. Don't see any others. Okay, no one has their hands up. So again, here's another question. They just keep coming. Okay, can this presentation be saved on Blueprint or emailed out? Yes, we will have this recorded. and it will be in the blueprint hopefully by the end of the week. So
Also,
once it is on there, I will let you know.
I'm going to provide. I'll turn this presentation over to be posted, but I'll also, because a lot of what I mentioned was spoken, I'm going to have a resource list for all the resources that I went over. I'll provide those to you with different links to different resources I spoke of today, so that the brothers have access to that as well.
Okay. All right. So again, we thank you for your time. We thank you for your attentiveness, and we really thank you for all that you do in the name of Phi Beta Sigma, and as well as being a responsible and productive business owner. And we look forward to providing future workshops to you. And if you have any questions that were answered or need further clarification, please contact me or Brother Davis, and we'll definitely get those answered for you. Again, brothers, we thank you for your time. Please be on the lookout for the workshop for next month in October. And also, if you have any ideas for future topics that you'd like to learn more about, please feel free to email me, and we'll definitely make sure that gets, we'll get that workshop for you. Again, we are here to serve you, and we definitely want to make your business a bigger and better business. Thank you, and have a great evening, everyone.